Howdy people, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a tutorial over the look that I'm wearing right now, specifically the eye look. So I had a bunch of you guys request for a spring eye look with some pastels and some neons, and I asked you guys which color you wanted to focus on, and a bunch of you said teal and greens. This is a really different look for me. I usually am pretty natural and just very basic, and I feel like when 2018 started, I was very much, all into natural looks and just very minimalistic. I'm actually really digging this, and now I'm kind of getting back into playing with colors and trying to do really unique looks and trying to have a different look every single day like I used to do. I just feel like this is really flattering. It's actually really easy to do. It looks kind of complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. If you guys want to see how to get this really pretty spring makeup look, then please keep watching. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. I haven't even primed my eyes yet, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to use the Essence I Love Color Intensifying Eyeshadow Base. It is more of like a pinky white base, and it really does intensify and brighten all its shades. So I want the white that we're going to put on all over the eyelid to be really vibrant. So I'm going to go ahead and set that with a skin tone colored eyeshadow. So the one that I've been using is one from ColourPop. I've been using all ColourPop single shadows for this look, but today I kind of want to focus on trying to just use one palette. So I'm going to try to use the Sedona Lace Mermaids palette. This was sent to me a long time ago. Here are the shades, and I feel like this is actually perfect for this look. So I'm going to be focusing on these like pinky orangey shades down here, and also these greens and teals. So honestly, the shades in this Sedona Lace palette, like this top row that I'm gonna be using for the crease, they're a little too pink for me. Like I've been using like corals and oranges and like peachy tones from ColourPop, so I don't really know how it's gonna turn out. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start with this, and if it starts turning into a mess, or like it just doesn't look the way I want, I'll move into the ColourPop shadows, because those are the ones I'm most familiar with and I know how it looks with this look. So I'm gonna start out with this shade right here called Nixie in the palette. This is a matte creamsicle color. I think it's matte. It looks like it may have a little bit of shimmer, but hopefully it doesn't. But I'm gonna go ahead and use that as my transition shade. So there's a lot of fallout and kickback with this shade right here. I just want to point that out because I haven't tried anything from Sedona Lace. This is the first thing they've sent me. Okay, so that's a little lighter than what I'm looking for. It's a little too skin tone mimicking. So I'm gonna go into my tried and true. This is ColourPop Issues, and this is just a matte peachy creamsicle color, about like the other one, but this one's just a lot more pigmented and just it builds up a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that right on top of that to kind of fix it. So when you're applying all these crease shades, try to keep the eyelid as clean as possible. Try not to get any product on there because we want to keep that really bright. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just toss this Sedona Lace to the side. I will use it for the teal shades for the lower lash line, but I want to work with something that I know how it works. So moving back into another ColourPop shade, if I can get it out. This is the shade Wait For It. So this is another matte shade, and this one's just a little bit darker. It's kind of like it's more of like a peachy coral. We're just getting darker and darker with the transition shades. And for this look, where it's kind of like a cut crease, like it's a very mild form of a cut crease, you do want to kind of start light and build up. I know that I've kind of proven that a lot of transition shades really aren't necessary, but for blending, I think it is. And I found that when doing a cut crease, or like when trying to place a crease shade like just in the hood of your eye, that when you look up, like kind of squint your eyes a little bit just to place the brush in there, and then look up a little bit more, and that helps to go right in the socket. So I'm not applying this in the outer V, I'm literally just applying it all through the crease, like the socket of the eye. So once I've diffused the color and kind of gotten it laid down, I'm gonna go back in and just apply it with just kind of blend it in the crease just a little bit and stop, just to kind of start that cut crease. I have a hard time with cut creases, so I find that this helps me. Like once you just go ahead and soften it up with the color that you want, and then go back in and just lay it down really concentrated. Next shade I'm gonna go in with is pretty much one shade darker. Honestly, it looks pretty similar. I don't know if this is any different than the other one. This is the shade Cutouts from ColourPop. It's just like, here's the shade we just now used. This is Wait For It. Wait For It, and then Cutouts. So Wait For It is just a tad bit lighter, and as we go darker, we're gonna keep it more concentrated and just not bring it in as far. So I'm gonna keep this mainly on the outer portion of the crease, like the socket. And again, like where we've already got that other color diffused out, we're really just placing this down to where it's more concentrated. I'm going to use the shade Making Moves, which is a pretty bright coral. And again, just keeping it like focused on the outer edge, but really pushing this into the socket of the crease to really define the crease. So this brush right here from Morphe, this is the Morphe B39 brush. I feel like this is super easy to use to create a cut crease. This is what it looks like. It's flat. as you can see, but it's got a little bit of fluff to it. So what I like to do is actually lay the product down, like kind of push it down where it's laying flat like this in my crease. And then when I want to blend it, I turn it vertically. So I'm going to get just a little bit of making moves on the tip of the bristles, tap off the excess, and just kind of lay this down in the upper crease right here on the outer edge. So once I've got it placed in there, as you can see, like it's starting to look like a cut crease. This one looks a little bit higher for some reason. I don't know what, I think this one's less hooded than this eye. So I'm just gonna bring this up a little bit higher to match the other side. I think, yeah, this side is definitely more hooded than the other side. So once I've got it laid down, I'm gonna turn the brush vertically and just slightly diffuse it. Like not even a whole lot, because with a cut crease, you really don't wanna blend too much. Like it's supposed to look really concentrated in the socket. Okay, then I'm gonna go back in with the blending brush that I used to start out with, and just very lightly with whatever's left over on the brush, just blend above all of that. If you have to, you can go back in with that first shade that we used, that creamsicly shade, tap off a lot of the excess, kind of blend all that together. And then I'm gonna go in with that second shade we used, which is Wait For It, and just a little bit on that same blending brush, and just go over the entire crease. And kind of dragging it a little more inward. And then I've lost a little bit of intensity, so I'm gonna go back in with that neon and just place that right back where we first blended it. Okay, so now that we got all the crease work done, now it's time to go in and cut it out. So I'm gonna go into ColourPop's Hear Me Out, which is kind of like a peachy ivory, like it's got a slight peachy undertone to it, but this is very, very brightening. It's very opaque and really pigmented, and it just really brings the look together and gives you that really nice like stark contrast to make it look more like a cut crease. So I'm gonna take a flat brush and get quite a bit on there, tap off the excess, and then I'm gonna put this all of the eyelid from the inner to the outer corner. And remember, we didn't put any on the outer V right here, and then bring it up in the crease a little bit just to kind of sharpen it. So I'm gonna start out by packing it all over the lid first and really getting the intensity that I want. This is a really good brow bone highlight as well. It's very, very brightening. And this holds up all day long. Like the brightness does not diminish. What I like to do is just place this right at the socket and just kind of go in a dome shape. As you can see, it really makes the crease shades pop out. We will do a little bit more blending. So now I'm gonna go back into that brush that I used to cut the crease out. And with whatever's left over, just kind of, I don't know, just kind of fade it a little bit better, because I don't want it to look too harsh. So I'm gonna take that same shade, Hear Me Out, on a different brush. It's just an angled brush, and just pop that right on the brow bone. So going back into that crease brush that I used with no extra product, and just blend the brow bone, like the very bottom of the brow bone, with the very top transition shade, just to make sure everything's faded. And then also, if you find that your cut crease is just a little bit too cut, you can go in with this brush with no extra product and just work in windshield wiper motions like this. You don't want to do circles because it'll just get it on the eyelid. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put on some eyeliner, kind of wing it out just a tad bit, just to do a little flick, and then put some mascara on. I'll come back and I'll show you guys the lower lash line. Alrighty guys, so I'm back, and I actually went ahead and did my entire face makeup, so that was done. But then I realized, well, I probably should kind of go through and give you my rationale as to why I chose what I chose, like what kind of look I was going for. So instead of just listing everything below, which I will do that as well, I want to give you kind of like a description of the products I used. So when I think of spring makeup, when it comes to face makeup, I think glowy, dewy, fresh, radiant, just kind of throwing away all the matte finishes. So for foundation, I use a mixture of a couple, but mainly this one right here. This is a L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. This is such a gorgeous, glowy, long-wearing foundation. It gives you medium to full coverage. It just smooths over the skin and just gives you a beautiful, radiant airbrush finish. But to kind of customize the shade, I went in with this one right here. This is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This is in the shade 030 Sand Beige. Can you even see it? There we go. So this is from Ulta, and this is actually my perfect match, and it's just a little bit more matte. Like, it's not super matte, but the mixture of this is so beautiful. It gives me a perfect match. I wanted to keep the center of my face very bright and just kind of like draw attention to the eye. So I use a mixture of a matte banana powder and also a matte ivory shade, kind of like what Jaclyn Hill does, and I use a damp sponge to do that just so it looks very smooth and milky. For blush, I use this cream blush starting out, just kind of give me a base. This is the BH Cosmetics Illuminate by Ashley Tisdale Cream Cheek and Lip Tint in the shade Rosé. This is just a really kind of neon, corally kind of color. This is very intense. Be very careful with it. And once I use powder and stuff to set it, I use the Sephora Colorful Blush in the shade Sweet on You, which is pretty much a powdery version of that one, just a little bit more toned down. Once I use that little powder combination to set the center points of my face, I went with Milani Prep Set and Glow Illuminating Transparent Powder, and I just kind of set the rest of my face. Like I set my blush, the cream blush, I set my cheek area. For bronzer, just use whatever you have. I use the Becca Sunlit Bronzer in the shade Capri Coast. This has a slight sheen to it. It's a really pretty undertone. And for highlight, use whatever you have on you. I just try to go back and forth just to try to use it as much as possible. That's what's on my face. We'll go with the setting spray later once I get my eyeshadow done. So, whew, let's go ahead and finish up the eyes. So I've worn a couple of different teals in here. They both look fine. So I'm just going to use both of them. First, I'm going to go in with 𝓤𝓤 right here, which is a matte, really bright neon teal shade. So first, I'm going to go in with a Q-tip and just clean out my waterline in the inner corner, because sometimes I can get, well, pretty much all the time, I get eyeliner and mascara smeared in there. I want to keep this as bright as possible, and we're also going to go in with a nude eyeliner in the waterline, so just kind of clean that up a little bit. So I'm going to get some of that on my brush and just stamp this as close to the lash line as possible. Now you can diffuse this and blend this out and like smoke it out as much as you want. If you want to bring it down really low, you can, but I'm just going to go pretty much all the way in. Okay, so there's what it looks like so far. So it looks pretty green right now. So I'm going to go into this shade called Sedna. This is more teal, so where's the other shade? There's the shade we just now used. As you can see, it's got more green in it, and then this shade has more of a blue undertone to it. I'm just going to keep this on the outer portion. Just right there, kind of stopping about halfway through. If you wanted to, you could just use this shade and skip out on the other shade. I mean, it really doesn't do a whole lot. It just kind of, I don't know, I like the variety. So then I'm going to take a little bullet brush, a little round bullet brush, and just smudge underneath all of that. And then for the inner corner highlight, I do want to keep this an all matte look. So I'm going to go back in with that same shade. I think, what is it called? Hear Me Out. I usually do use a shimmery color in the inner corner, but I just want to keep this like themed. So the last thing I'm going to do just to keep everything bright is go in with a nude eyeliner. This is the Rimmel Exaggerate Waterproof Eye Definer in the shade In the Nude. And just put that right in the waterline. I usually don't do this, but I think it looks so pretty with the brightness on top. And I will say, if the eyeshadow on the lower lash line is too much for you, if you don't want it to be that intense and in your face, you can use a shade like this, or any shade you want really, in like an eyeliner in the waterline, just to give you that pop of color, because it'll do pretty much the same thing. This is just a little bit more dramatic. Setting spray, I'm testing out the new CoverGirl setting spray, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. With lips, you can do a lot of things. You can go with a nude if you want to keep the focus on the eyes. You could do something that kind of matches that coral up there. What I've been wearing is something a little more toned down and more glossy. I feel like with this look where it's so matte, I mean, you can stick to the matte theme, but I just like a glossier lip, especially in the spring. So this one's discontinued, and it makes me so sad because it's so good. But if you still have this one, or if you have something like it, then it'll work perfectly. This is a Maybelline Color Whisper. This was a thing like several years back. This is in the shade Pinup Peach. Like, it almost has like a neon aspect to it, like a neon pinky coral. Basically any kind of like tinted lip balm or something like, I mean, I don't really know what these are considered, but I'm gonna go in with a clear lip gloss now. This is the Hard Candy Plumping Serum Max Pout. So that is it for this really pretty spring pastel neon look. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope this sufficed your request. So if you guys have any more color requests for spring looks, you know what to do. Drop it in the comments below and let me know. So thank you all so much for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel. I have a little button right down there. And also, apparently subscribing isn't enough anymore. YouTube says that you gotta hit the notification bell. So go ahead and hit that notification bell right next to the subscribe button. I can't talk, and I'll see you guys in the next one.